What's up, everybody? Welcome back to day 2 of IGN's E3 Live Show 2014. Of course, be part of it. Tweet at IGN, hashtag E3 2014. Be ready for amazing games like Entwined. Dominic, Jing, how are you?
Good,
Thanks so
Greg.
much for coming.
Pleasure.
You're far away, but you get a handshake too, because I'm polite. Your game, of course, popped up during the Sony Plus PlayStation press conference.
Yep.
And I think I speak for everyone when I say I have no earthly idea what this thing is. So please play it and explain to me what's happening.
Okay, so Entwined is a game about two souls who are in love but can't be together. And that lives in this game mechanic that we've come up with where you're learning to control two characters at the same time, and those two souls are represented by this bird and the fish that you see before you there.
And so, are they controlled on opposite sticks? Is
yes.
Okay, so it's like brothers in a way?
Yeah, in a way.
Okay.
And one of the things that we did when we looked at some of those other games that have two characters being controlled at the same time is, what can we do to make that a bit easier and more accessible? And so they're on a static track rolling around the outsides of the screen like that, and they're also locked on their half of the screen. So the fish is always on the left and the bird is always on the right. So it makes it a bit easier to manage, and then you can really just focus on the timing and coordination of going through these obstacles.
All right. So many questions immediately spring to mind. Let's start with, where did the idea for this game come from? Was it the story first, the gameplay first? Where does it all go back to?
So it was gameplay first.
Okay.
About a year ago, we were doing a round of a very quick, rapid prototyping. And actually, one of the prototypes that Jing and one of the engineers came up with, Eric, was this idea of learning to control two things at the same time. And it kind of grew and evolved from that. And then we started working on the look, the story. Jing actually came up with the story as well, and it's based on an ancient Chinese myth.
Okay.
So it has a kind of nice, timeless, poignant feel to it as well.
I'm not gonna lie. Sounds like Jing did a lot of work on this game, you not so much. Sounds like you're dragging down the operation.
That's true. They probably agree with you.
So, as we go through, we're hitting these, these are like checkpoints, goals, or whatever to go through. Are you earning points? Is there a fail state? Is something like that happening?
So there's two main modes in the game. There's a story mode like this, which takes place over 9 lifetimes. And that's a much more generous, almost Zen-like experience, and you can't actually die.
Okay.
So progress is about collecting these orbs and successfully going through them. But if you make a mistake, it just depletes those bars at the top of the screen.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Look at that. That's a pro demo move, Jing. Good job.
And so in the end, when those two bars are full, and you're about to see it now, Jing will be able to trigger the Entwined effect and start bringing these two characters together.
Okay.
And so at the end of each lifetime, you actually get to turn them into this amazing dragon. And you break free of the tunnel, and you can fly around freely.
Oh my god, all right, we'll do it, Jing. I want to see this dragon. This is the year of the dragon, I tell you what. They're all over video games.
They are. Who doesn't love a dragon?
It's true. No, it's insane. Now they're starting to entwine, it looks like.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you can see the bars at the top getting in there. Here we go. Oh my god, we're so close to a dragon. Time to dragon. There it is.
It's coming.
So every level is a lifetime? That's the idea? Okay.
It's all, and it's been really interesting working with a team that has such a broad cultural background as well.
Yeah.
There's 10 of us on the team, and there's 5 different countries represented with that. And so we have a strong Asian influence in the story and the narrative and the art. And then this theme of reincarnation, which is in the level structure, comes from the Indian team members that we have.
Nice.
And so it feels quite unique and in the general experience.
That's awesome.
And each level is very different, and it's meant to evoke a very specific emotion. So this is like a youthful exuberance and exciting level idea. So you've got this fairground. And
so is that one of the early lifetimes we're seeing? Okay.
Yeah.
And does it get more complicated and crazy then as you go on?
It does.
Okay.
One of the things that we've worked really hard on is make sure that from a design perspective, it has a very, very clean progression. It's very satisfying and addictive to fly through those obstacles.
Gotcha.
They have different types of patterns that are meant to evoke gestures that are in keeping with the emotion we're trying to create in each level as well. So that we'd like to think there's a kind of coherence to it too. And then what Jing's about to do now is what you end up, at the end of each lifetime, you get this chance to create your own aerial sculpture and skywrite with the dragon.
Oh, wow.
And each level has a completely different type of living paint. And so we call it living paint because once you've laid it down, it keeps moving and animating, and then it also brings these creatures alive out of the environment, and they're actually what create the exit for you.
So to move on to your next lifetime?
Yeah.
I see. Back to the reincarnation.
Exactly.
Right.
So we're really looking forward to seeing what people come up with.
Yeah, I mean, has it been
like
the interesting thing, of course, is that Scott Rhodey comes out at the PlayStation conference, announces the game, and then he says it's available now on PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was crazy. I mean, the whole press conference was just an amazing opportunity to get the game out there, announce the team, tell everyone what we've been doing, and it just so worked out that the timing was perfect to announce and release it.
Yeah.
So it was something we talked about back in January with Scott when he looked at the game. And we thought, what a great idea, let's go for it. It's something that isn't really done at E3. Usually you have a demo, and I've been part of that process before, and we thought, no, let's show, and then if people like it, they can buy it straight away.
Right.
It's much more gamer friendly.
I was telling you before we went on the air, right, I really think that's the future. I think for smaller titles it makes so much sense because don't get me wrong, I love the Tomb Raider trailer I see, but then they say 2015 and you're like, oh, and so to be able to say, like, this is an awesome game you're seeing right now, you can buy it, I don't see why you wouldn't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is obviously much easier with smaller development cycles to do that. But yeah, it's been fun doing something a bit more gamer-centric like that.
Was it terrifying in a way? Like, you know me well enough to know that I'm a big PlayStation fan.
Yeah.
The PlayStation Network has its issues here and there, right? And so even the day of the conference, the trophy's posted, and people are like, oh, Entwined's out, and I was like, I predicted it, but I didn't believe it, right? Because I was like, there's no way they'll be able to sync up every territory and make it work. That's not how this goes.
We had a lot of help internally at PlayStation to make sure that we could do that and get it out around the world as quickly as possible. And there were people waiting to push the button at the end of the press conference. Has
it then been, don't get me wrong, awesome to be at E3, but then kind of like, I wish I was home watching people play it on, PlayStation Share. Yeah.
Well, so this is the first PS4 game that we've worked on and released, and so seeing people play it live on Twitch and streaming the game, that has been a really different type of experience for me personally as well, just watching people enjoy it straight away. So we were actually, after the press conference, we were sat around together having a kind of team moment, and we just pulled our phones out and we just watched people playing the game. Awesome. And that shows me how far the games industry has come in a way. Like, suddenly you can make something, announce it, release it, and then within 2 hours we're watching hundreds and hundreds of people playing the game live on Twitch, talking about it, and it does make you want to dive in and start talking with them as well, and suddenly you've got this really close personal experience making games. So I never thought it would be like that, so it's amazing.
Do you like it better that way?
I do, yeah.
I've talked to a lot of developers here at E3, talking about the way that even Twitch, but especially Twitter, right? That you can get direct personal feedback sent to you, and like if a fan is seeking you out, going through the credits of a game, then finding you on Twitter and telling you like you understand that they're pretty hardcore. Yeah, it's an interesting moment to be alive, and you've worked on games for a while. So.
Yeah, been around for a fair bit. I mean, you have to make. You can look at making games from a lot of different perspectives. I think this is a very artistic game, but ultimately games are always meant to be fun, and you want people to enjoy them. And so we always try and keep the gamers in mind when we're developing all the systems, the art, the visual feedback, all of the signs and the design to tell you what's going on. So we always try and imagine it being played, and so it's almost like that's the end cap of that experience. We spend all this time and effort trying to make it something that people are going to love and enjoy and get addicted to, and then you get the instant feedback of whether that's actually happening.
Right.
But there's been some other interesting side effects of announcing and releasing. Like, usually when you release a game, you send out your review copies beforehand.
Right, that's a good point.
But all the journalists are here. So we have started to get reviews coming in as well, and that's been really exciting.
Right.
Watching that come in. So yeah.
I mean, I'll be the first to say it. The reviewer is getting to be less and less important. When you can watch it on TV or watch it on Twitch or see all these things, right? Like,
you can make your own mind
exactly,
up pretty quickly.
Yeah, you can get to know it. And I think even previews or conversations like this, right, where you come in and you explain the game. I think you're able to look at it and be like, that seems like something that's right up my alley, right? Like, watching Jing destroy because she's so good at her own game. Like, I'm looking forward to getting home after the madness of E3 and screaming over all these speakers and just putting on a headset and sitting there in silence and play, or not silence, but not talking, and just sitting there and enjoying the game. It looks awesome. It's so beautiful.
Thing,
Now, this environment, this lifetime, very different than the last one we just saw. Right now, it looks like we're out in like the Antarctic and stuff like that, out in North Pole kind of setting. Whereas before we ended and we were at like a Ferris wheel, like you're talking about youth.
Yeah.
Is that is every lifetime that different?
Everyone is very different, yeah. And it's really, I mean, I can remember when I used to play games, you would have the ice level and the fire level and things like that.
Yeah.
There's something really pure about having a huge variety of palettes, and that's what tells you you're progressing in the game in many ways. But of course we've got this emotional undercurrent as well. And so it was a very deliberate choice to get that in there, yeah.
Sure. Do you think now with the indie movement, but more the fact of how easy it is, easy in quotes, to make a game and put it on a downloadable service and get it out, that we're seeing the, I guess, buffet of choices expand a bit, right? Like this isn't a first-person shooter, and this isn't some narrative-based game. This is just like, you know, it looks like it's a fun, relaxing game to go out and do. Like, is that only possible because of the downloadable climate you think we have?
I mean, the downloadable aspect of it is an easier medium of getting those games to players, so that's true. But it's also about the tools that we've got access to now, and it's also about the training these guys are getting at university. You know, I mean, when I was at school, I desperately wanted to learn how to make games, but there was absolutely nothing I could do to acknowledge that back in the UK. And one of the reasons I really wanted to come and work with this team is I wanted to get up to date with what the state of academic learning was for the games industry right now, and it just blew my mind. Like these guys have come out of school with skill sets that I feel like it took me 5 or 6 years to get to.
Right.
And
they're the more advanced Terminator model, and they're coming to get rid of you.
Seriously, I know. And they're all multi-skill setted, you know, ninjas at doing all kinds of different things. Jin can code, script, model, animate. You know, it's the new breed of designer.
She's the female Terminator from Terminator 3. I guess that's something we haven't touched on, right? Scott talked a little bit about it on stage, but do you want to talk about Jing's pedigree, how you guys got put together, how this all came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So about 2 years ago, the Sony San Mateo studio began an incubation program. And that was actually before I rejoined Sony. And so a guy called Alex Lee and Ken Inagaki began this process of going out there and trying to see what some of the big universities in the States were doing in terms of gaming education. And they began working with some of those groups. And I actually worked with a team at Carnegie Mellon this year as well. And so we mentor them. And these guys actually came and did an internship at the studio. And they worked on some prototypes. And I think Alex and Ken you know, looked at their skill set and thought, God, these guys are really good.
We got to hire them up.
Yeah. And then after that, I think there was a decision to try and pair them with some old-timers as well, to try and mix some experience with this energy and enthusiasm. And myself and a guy called Jeff Sengali, who's a really talented art director and somebody I worked with at Lucasfilm, we joined the team.
That's
and we started working on this game last year. Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, guys, Entwined looks great. It's out right now, PlayStation 4.
Yes.
You can go get it, download it yourself.
And then PS3 and Vita will be along within the month.
Oh, wow, okay.
Probably in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
And then after that, we're also going to release on iOS and Android.
Man, you guys are getting all over the place. I love it. Experienced youth shoved together making video games. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks, Greg.
It looks great.
Thank you.
Very excited. There's a handshake because I'm polite. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, day 2 of the IGN live show from the E3 show floor with all the video games you want to play. It's starting right now. Up next, you might have heard of this game, Big Fest. They talked about it forever ago, then went quiet. Now they're here to show it. I'm very excited. Everybody, stay where you are.